Good afternoon and welcome to the November 15th meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. May we have the roll call, please?
Authority members: Devine.
Here.
Friedman. Garpetian.
Here.
Ellie.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Razian.
Here.
Chair Sinanian.
Here. What's next on the agenda?
There's actually a closed session item that I'll read into the record, and at the conclusion of this meeting, you will recess to closed session at 2A's conference with legal counsel pending litigation. Glendale Housing Authority et al. Versus Salim Karimi et al. Superior Court case number BC 460044. And the next item is the agenda for the November 15, 2016 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority, which was posted on Thursday, November 10, 2016 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. And what's next?
Next item is the approval of minutes.
I'll move for A.
Second.
Any objections? None. Without objections, minutes are approved as submitted. Next item.
Next item is oral communication. However, no cards were submitted for this portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Next.
Any authority member or staff comments?
Well, I'll make a short comment. Periodically, we have spoken about the housing, the affordable housing crisis, specifically in Glendale, and I think it's a regional issue, but in Glendale particularly. And I think we've asked staff to come back with that course of action that we can take to ease the pain and alleviate the pressure that's felt by apartment residents. And when is that coming back, Mr. Ochoa?
That would be
Your microphone.
the 6th of December is the first of those bullet points, the just cause eviction update.
Okay, because the process is ongoing. I mean, the process of jacking up apartment prices, I mean, to ridiculous extents. We're witnessing 30, 40, sometimes 50% increases, immediate increases on apartment dwellers, which is, I mean, it's unconscionable, it's shameless. And the more this pressure mounts, the more drastic, I think, this council has to act to stop that from happening, because we cannot become a community where individuals that cannot afford expensive homes, or individuals that cannot afford $2,500 studio apartments cannot live. That can't be the Glendale of tomorrow. So those are all my comments. Yes, Mr. Garpetian.
Yes, on the same topic, we have a housing rights meeting this Saturday.
Yes, at 10:30 a.m.
Pacific Edison facility that we have, and I encourage everyone to show up and voice their opinion, because this is where your voice will be heard, basically. And how many of these are we going to have? The housing rights. This is.
Mr. Chair, members of the Housing Authority, the meeting this Saturday at Pacific Park Library is being sponsored by the Housing Rights Center. They're the organization being paid for out of CDBG funds to provide tenant-landlord counseling. It's an informational meeting about tenant rights with regards to rent increases, security deposits, timings, rules, and regulations. So it's an informative meeting. It's this first only meeting being provided this year for tenants. About a month ago, the same organization provided a similar meeting. They provided it to landlords. And then prior to that, housing staff took part of some training as well that they offered. So it's a series of meetings that the organization, as part of their contract, is required to provide the community. So it's just one for tenants.
And this will be both in Armenian as well as Spanish languages.
They'll be providing it in English, and then they'll have some translators available for other languages.
Okay, thank you.
Can I get a copy of the agenda on that, Peter? If they have if they have gone so far as to prepare an agenda?
There's not necessarily an agenda. There's just a flyer announcing the event and the time. And I'm sure what they'll do is they'll most likely go over different rules with regards to security deposits, rent increases, things such as retaliatory rent increases, retaliatory evictions, and that whole thing. It's just kind of a primer of tenant-landlord rights and responsibilities is what the class is.
For instance, will they be discussing methods to put rent control on the ballot or to
No.
affect rent control or anything
No,
like that?
not unless, I don't believe that to be on their agenda unless they were asked specifically by participants of the meeting about that process. That'd be the only time I think it would come up.
So basically just discussing the landlord-tenant laws and rights and obligations of each party.
Correct.
Okay.
Peter, do we have any idea how many tenants actually use that service?
CDBG does track that as part of their contract, and they report on it annually. I unfortunately don't have that number, but it is a number that we refer a lot of tenants to when they come into our counter.
It's just a seminar, Peter?
It's just an informational seminar is what it is.
Okay.
I have a
Yes,
I have a
Madam
question.
Mayor?
I had asked at the City Council meeting for a report on the occupancy rate of the new development, the apartments, and I'm wondering if that's coming back to either council. I'd even like for it to be reported on here. I think that's an important statistic, a lot of statistics that we would all be interested in.
We have, as a matter of fact, the CDD department sent me their memo. Again, some of that information is proprietary, so I can provide summary numbers as we have in the past. I don't know that it necessarily makes for a very compelling presentation for the housing authority because these are all private market projects. Suffice to say, the projects are all hitting their pro forma numbers. Even the ones that are not fully completed yet are leasing up in the 25 to 30% range. The other projects are in the 90% and above range. We will have that for you, but I would just ask that before council gives direction in terms of having it on an official agenda, we do so understanding that some of the information may be redacted.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. No more comments from council, staff. We have no new business, so next we have adjournment.
Recess.
Oh, recess, that's right, too. We're going to recess to closed session.